Dave knows how.
Welcome back to the channel. Well, today is the day. I built a relatively flat wood platform using a lot of just lumber I had laying around here. I did have to buy a few pieces, and boy is lumber expensive these days. But I built the floor. It's just big enough for this tractor to be on. It's 8 foot wide, 16 foot long. That meant that I could use a minimal amount of plyboard, which I had to buy. And we're gonna get started taking this thing apart so that we can do a clutch job on it. I'm not sure how much of this I'm gonna film. I've never done this before, so this is not something that where I feel like I'm gonna be able to benefit you from my knowledge, because I really don't have that much knowledge in what I'm about to do. One thing I do have though is I have access to a certified Kubota technician who has done this many times. So he's pretty busy. Hard to get him here now. This is his busy season. So the best I can hope to do is, if I run into a snag, get him on the phone and ask questions. So anyway, we got a lot of stuff to take apart. We got to take the hood off, the side pieces, the fuel tank, the dashboard, the instrument panel, the floor pans on both sides, the hydraulic lines over here for the joystick controls of third function, the diverter valves. All that's got to come loose. We are going to take the electrical apart from the back of the tractor forward until we get to the halfway point. If we start from the back and just bring it forward up to the halfway point, it's a lot less involved on this model tractor. We're really just dealing with the seat switch, the PTO safety switch, the tail lights, the turning signals, emergency flashers, the lights on the ROPS, and that's a whole lot less than dealing with all of this up here, including the injectors and the alternator and all that kind of mess. So we're going to pull it from the back forward, get those electrical lines disconnected and brought up here, and all the other things that I mentioned that's got to come off have to come off. The steering column has to come out because that's bolted to the rear half of the tractor that's going to get pushed back. I talked to the technician about this, which is my son, and asked him which is the easier to do, pull the back away from the front or pull the front away from the back. And I needed to know that because I'm on limited space here. So he said he always pulled the front away from the back, and that's just the way he always did it. So that's what I'm going to do. So I've backed the tractor up within 2 feet of going off the end of this 16-foot long floor, and we're gonna chock the wheels so that it can't roll back any further than that. And then once we get everything off and you get the bolts broke loose, we're gonna pull the front forward away from the back and then do the clutch job. So I'll try to film some of it, all of it, I don't know. It really all depend on, you know, how things go. Like I said, I've never done this before. It's the first time for me. Not sure how much, you know, you'll learn other than what I just told you. That's all I know so far. There's a couple things about the drive shaft for the front that he explained to me, but it didn't fully sink in yet. So I've got the shop manual. I'm going to look at that, and if it comes time, when it comes time to take that off, I may get a camera up underneath there and film some of that. I don't know. You know, there's a lot going on, and it's just me by myself trying to do this. And I need to get through it. I need to get this thing fixed, repaired, and be done with it. And any of you guys that knows about making YouTube videos, when you start videoing stuff that you're doing, it can take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times longer when you're filming than to just do it. So I may set a camera up somewhere up here high maybe and just let it run, and we'll see what we get. Okay, all right, let's get on with it. Well, what a nightmare. Yeah, this thing turned out to be a lot more to it than what I thought. I mean, I knew it was going to be a lot to it, but wow. I had not planned on taking this steering column off because it looked like the split line was right here at it, and I should be able to leave that on there and pull it apart. The shop manual has photographs in it, and reading through and looking at the photographs, they make it look pretty simple. You know, they show it with the fuel tank and everything on it, and the steering column and everything on it, split in half right here to the split line. But as you can see, it just doesn't work out that way. So the fuel tank had to come out, the steering column, steering wheel, everything, steering linkage, all that had to come out. Now in a previous video I showed these stands that I put on here, splitting stands to help split this thing in half, and I thought that was a good idea, but as it turns out, because, you know, reading through the book, it didn't say anything about having to remove the front end loader or the backhoe subframe. Now I knew I was going to have to take loose the backhoe subframe underneath the loader right here, but I figured I could just slide it back and leave it on there. But as it turns out, the main hydraulic line, which is a hard metal line, comes from the hydraulic pump, goes down to the manifold block, it's hard piped in there and it goes behind this, and you can't get it out without removing this. So I've got to remove this, and in order to remove this for the front end loader, I have to remove the subframe for the backhoe, at least on this side of the tractor. So I'm going to leave the one on the other side of the tractor. I'm going to take the backhoe subframe off on this side. Then I'm going to remove this and then get that line out. And it looks like that'll be the last thing that's keeping this thing from being able to be split and pulled apart. But that's a huge, that's a huge ordeal. I didn't think I was going to have to take these floor pans out. That was, another big ordeal. Taking the joystick out for the front end loader control, the third function valve, and the diverter valve that I installed on here. It was a lot of work to do this, and I'm not even halfway finished. The easy part is taking it apart. The hard part is putting it back together, getting everything to line up right. So we just have to see, how things go from here. Anyway, I didn't film everything, but I filmed a good part of the start of it, just to give you an idea of what all was involved. But it's even more involved than that. The book does say you got to remove the seat, but I have not removed the seat yet and don't plan on it. It's a lot. This was a big job. It costs so much to have this done at the dealership, and it's probably because it's worth it to send it to the dealership and have them do it. I didn't have the sort of money it would take to send it to the dealer. Really just barely had the money to buy the parts to, do the work myself. So, and I didn't escape without injury so far. I've got a pretty bad cut on my thumb and a little small cut on my pinky finger. Knock on wood. I'm just, praying that the Lord will get me through this without any more incidents, accidents, and with as little frustration as possible, and get me to a point where I can, get this thing back together and running. We'll see. It's been slow going. I've worked on this thing for 2 or 3 or 4 hours, a day, and I think I'm on my second or third day of working on it for a couple of hours each day. And of course I've had to stop and go, pick up stuff from the store, specific size sockets and stuff that I didn't have. So there was a few tools that I did have to buy, but nothing too crazy expensive. Anyway, let's get on with taking this backhoe subframe off and then removing this and getting that pipe out. And once I get that pipe out, I'm going to put this back on here so that I can try to utilize this splitting stand that I built and let that aid me into, you know, splitting this tractor in half. All right, let's get on with it. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.